Ralph Kurtajka joining you. I'm with Brightwood Real Estate Education. And we're going to speak in this little segment about real estate appraisal. We've done several of these little segments about different topics in real estate appraisal. And this kind of continues that conversation. What is the purpose and function of an appraisal? Most appraisals, the order is to estimate the market value of a property. And you know that might sound really common. What other value would you estimate? But if you're in the appraisal world, I used to teach appraisal, and there are several different types of value. Market value is the one you and I as real estate professionals are most often concerned with. But they have, you might be familiar with this one, liquidation value. If you wanted to sell something this weekend, you might not get market value, but what's the liquidation value of the item? There's insurable value. They have value in use. They have the value of a going concern. They have all types of different values. But most of the time, we're estimating market value. The customer is usually the lender. You might think, well, doesn't the buyer pay for the appraisal? Sure they do, but they're paying for it on behalf of the lender. The lender is the one that requires the appraisal, and the appraisal is the property of the lender. The buyer's not going to automatically get a copy of that. Now, a seller or a cash buyer may also be interested in ordering an appraisal. They want to estimate the market value of the property that they may be negotiating on. An appraisal is required for all federally related loans. Here's another one of those things that could be an exam point. An appraisal is required for all federally related loans. That's a loan that is made under the guise or underneath federal regulations, and there are a lot of federal financial regulations. So if your loan comes from the normal pipeline, such as you're going to a typical lender, and they're getting a conventional loan, an insured conventional loan, an FHA or a VA loan, that loan will require an appraisal. All right, it's a federal law that appraisal must be used for all federally regulated loans. An appraisal then is not required for what? Right? If it's not a federally related loan, what kind of loan might it be? That's right, an appraisal is not required for seller financing. An appraisal is not required for cash buyers. Now, is it possible that a seller offering seller financing, a buyer might want to get an appraisal? Or is it possible the cash buyer might want to get an appraisal? Sure, but it's not required for seller financing, all right, or cash buyers. So there's another issue that might pop up on an exam. So the purpose of the appraisal largely is to determine if the loan amount does not exceed, or to make sure the loan amount does not exceed the maximum LTV that was established by the lender. So what's an LTV? An LTV is the loan to value ratio. So the loan's always going to be, most of the time, it's going to be less than the value. So the lender might say, I'll give you a loan anywhere up to 80% of the value of the property. All right, so what is the value of the property as far as the lender is concerned? All right, the value of the property as far as the lender is concerned is the sale price or the appraisal, whichever is less. So the lender says, I'll give you a loan up to X percent, let's say 80% of the sale price or the appraised value, whichever is less. All right, so the loan equals the LTV times the sales price or the appraised value, whichever of the two is less. So if the appraisal substantiates the sale price, then the lender, in the case I gave, would allow a loan of 80% of the sale price. However, if the appraisal comes in less than the sale price, then the loan amount goes down. And if you buy at that sale price, someone's going to have to pony up some more cash. Other uses for appraisals include for insurance purposes. There's an insurable value. Could be certainly used in condemnation proceedings, or if a buyer wants to cease paying or stop paying private mortgage insurance. You know, I mentioned an insured conventional. I know we're not talking about financing here, but it relates to the appraisal topic. An insured conventional loan that requires what's called private mortgage insurance. It means the LTV, the loan to value ratio, exceeds 80%. So if you get a 90% LTV loan, then you're going to have to pay this private mortgage insurance, but you can stop paying that private mortgage insurance when the LTV drops to 80%. So how do you know the LTV has dropped to 80%? Well, you get the property reappraised and the current loan value is 80% or less than the current value, then you can stop paying the private mortgage insurance. There's a little wrap up of some appraisal issues.